Pool Perfect Max from Natural Chemistry is the premier weekly maintenance product for all pools. This 3-in-1 technology enhances clarity, maximizes pool program efficiency, and prevents problems. Take every pool care program to the max with Pool Perfect Max.
All right. So, I don't know. I guess I'll just start the show so that I don't forget it like I did, like we did last
Like
time
we
and
usually do.
then have to redo it later because then I feel like
Oh
it
my
sounds
God,
weird. So,
just say hello to the people.
anyway, my dog's barking. Hello, people. Thank you for joining us. This is the Talking Pools podcast, and I'm your host, Andrea, and I'm with my friend and co-host, Rudy,
Hey guys,
as
it's Rudy
usual.
Stank. What?
As usual.
As always, I am Rudy
Mhm.
Stankwitz. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for tuning in to listen to us. We really appreciate you.
We do. Yeah,
So
it's been fun.
I hear your days are starting and ending much earlier, Andrea.
Yeah, it's actually been really great. I left my house at 5 o'clock this morning. I wanted to leave a little earlier, but it worked out. I actually because I wasn't feeling well, so I didn't go to work yesterday, which was a Monday. And it's a funny story because I thought they weren't gonna cover my pools. And so I got up extra early and did two of them before I found out that somebody actually went to them yesterday. And I was at the pools looking at them going like, wow, I'm so surprised these are so clean. Like there was a storm. Like I was like super happy. I was like, wow, I did a really good job Friday. And then no, it turns out someone was there. So
Now, were you really sick, or was this just like I woke up Monday and don't feel like going to work thing?
no, I was really sick. I had some stuff going on. Not like
Okay,
really super sick. It was I just
but
didn't
but you're better
cleaning
now.
pools wasn't good for
So you
that
got
day.
rid of
Yeah,
your
no.
cooties. We're good to go.
I'm good. Yeah. And so today I got up and I left my house at 5 and I actually got done at 10 o'clock. I was done at 10 o'clock today. So
Nice.
that was nice. Yeah. And I
Now,
got in and out of all my commercials before people started asking me if the heater was on and the skimmers were working and all that other crap.
it's always the best when you can get out of there before they open. Now,
Yeah.
you've been pushing me and egging me to do something drowning prevention related for the longest time.
Yeah, well, we actually kind of covered it a little bit in one of our first episodes. And, since we've gotten a lot better at this whole podcast thing, I wanted to revisit it because it is a super important topic. It's really important that we get people educated and spread awareness and prevent it. That's the whole thing. So
Well, today is the day your dreams come true.
I'm excited.
We have a guest.
We do.
Who is it?
So we have with us April Ingram from the Florida Public Research Center and the College of Public Health, and they have done they've done a study, and so we've invited her here to talk about it.
Hi, April.
Hey,
Thanks for
How are
joining
you?
us.
good, and thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about what you got going on there.
Yeah, so we, the Florida Prevention Research Center, so we do something a little different. We use social marketing to develop campaigns, behavior change campaigns. And the state has hired us to evaluate and also create a new water safety campaign.
That's the state of Florida.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Nice.
so, yeah, so phase one was kind of evaluating a campaign that was specifically for tourists who come to Florida, because we know that drownings are quite high among tourists, especially in vacation rental properties. Um,
Interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
And then also, but now we're going to be looking at developing a new campaign for people who are living in Florida or have just recently moved here. And we have a lot of people who have moved here in the last couple of years because of over COVID and everything. So
I think they're all from New York.
I
Most
think
of them,
so
yeah.
too. Maybe a couple from New Jersey and a few from Ohio.
So that's interesting because I'll tell you, as a pool professional, as pool professionals, one of the things that we always look at and we kind of shake our heads a little bit is vacation homes,
Yeah.
vacation rentals specifically, just because we think they're commercial properties, but they're not treated as such.
Yeah.
which means that they don't have to meet all the regulations that a commercial pool does, which drives us nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I spoke to an inspector yesterday down in Miami, and he was telling me how they're just these homes and people's, these pool homes are not intended to ever be used, for lots of people. So it requires a lot more maintenance, and attention. And you open yourself up to a lot more risk as an homeowner, and no one's really doing anything about it, and kind of communicating those risks.
It's really
Do we
scary.
know? Sorry, Rudy, do we know, is there not, never mind, wait, that's my thing. Do we know if there's been like an increase in drowning since like kind of Airbnb and those things, and like Swimply, since those have been starting to become popular?
Yeah, so the data is a little bit behind by, I think, a year. So I think the most recent data comes from like 2020. And in that year alone, I think Osceola County, is that how you say it? Osceola?
Yeah.
Had 17 drownings in vacation, like all of
Oh
the
my.
county, all the drownings in Osceola County for that year, 17 of them, they all happened in vacation rental
Oh,
homes.
wow.
Oh,
So that's startling. I don't know what it looks like across the other counties, but it's definitely something that the state has seen. And then it's going to be a lot more interesting when the more recent reports come out, because, a lot's changed in those couple of years. And a lot more people in Florida are traveling within Florida. So, yeah. So a lot of people aren't going out anymore. They're staying put. So
that's part. Well, the drowning is a very, very serious thing, but the Florida people traveling within Florida, that's part of the joke, is that we're the only state where the residents go on vacation in another part of the state.
yeah,
And it's true. We
yeah.
do.
Mhm.
I haven't left the state in several years. I
That's
just
because
going to the Keys.
she's legally not allowed to. Anyway.
Shut up.
So, but it's true though. You have folks that don't have a pool at their home, so they don't have the experience swimming, and
Mhm.
they go and they rent a vacation home that has a pool, and all of a sudden, I mean, they are not aware that there are dangers associated with a swimming pool. Who
Mhm.
does this fall on?
Well, if it falls on the homeowner if there is an actual injury or fatality. So, they could be sued. And especially if they don't have anything in place, or if they aren't telling the renter, or like if it's like a Swimply or something, if they're not disclosing kind of all of the different things that are available to them to prevent drowning, or if they don't have it there, they're really opening themselves up to being sued. So it's a risk. But we do know that like people with smaller children, they typically stay in like hotels and resorts because they feel that they have more they have more protection there. And so if you are a person who is, renting out your home or your pool to someone, I would think you would appeal more to the people, younger families, or the people with younger children or grandchildren, if you also include some kind of like additional safety measures to prevent drowning. So you could possibly use it as a selling point. The more layers of protection that you kind of add. So that's something to consider if you're out there listening.
I saw an instance up in New Jersey, and this wasn't too long ago, maybe within the last month or two, involving one of those Swimply rentals that Andrea had brought up, and a young child, I want to say 11, 12. I'm not 100% sure on that, but they had drowned in this swimming pool. And lawyers were commenting in this article. And one of the things they were saying is that even though Swimply does offer, I think it's $1 million insurance,
Mm.
that a wrongful death suit can exceed that significantly, and that homeowners insurance doesn't cover the rental of a swimming pool from your backyard. So that's huge and super scary.
Yeah, insurance is a tricky one. I've been learning too that a lot of insurance companies don't really look to see how people are, what they're doing with their pools and if they're enclosing their pools. So even if you aren't renting your pool out or you have a vacation rental, but you have a pool, that you are also opening yourself up to risk if a neighbor's child comes over to your house and gets into your pool or accesses your pool and has an accident or drowns. So they can also see you. So it's not just people who have vacation rentals and are renting it out to guests. It's also people who,
Everybody.
everybody.
Okay.
And we're hearing that a lot. So, especially like we hear, my children are good swimmers, so I took the gate down, or my children have left the house. So we don't need these things. We don't need door alarms anymore. We don't need the gate. We don't need the fence. We don't need a cover. And so they'll kind of remove all this stuff because they think it doesn't apply to them anymore, but actually it still applies.
Door alarms are one of the big ones because I'll
Yeah.
tell you, I mean, they're a pain in the butt. They really are, going in and out, having to press a
Yeah.
button so that an alarm doesn't sound. But it deal with it. I mean, realistically, if you have a pool in your backyard, it should be in place. And if it's an inconvenience, oh well, that's just the price of pool ownership. That's your first layer of protection, is preventing a young child, from getting outside in the first place.
Mhm.
So the fact that those are disabled is really scary. So how does this contract with the state come about?
Oh, I'm not quite sure how well, actually, that's not true. We have a lot of, we work on a lot of projects, with prevention. So safety, health, and prevention, whether it's, drowning, seatbelt use, that type of thing, public health issues within the college. And, the Florida Prevention Research Center, like I said, we use social marketing. So it's kind of like commercial marketing and behavioral theory change or behavioral psychology. So it's a little different. It's not something that every health department has access to. It's different than health communication. So it's not just giving people information. It's trying to understand really like why people make the decisions that they do, kind of removing some of the barriers and the issues, promoting the benefits, and kind of meeting people where they're making decisions.
So in the state of Florida, then, realizing that the number of, or the percentage of, tourist deaths due to accidental drowning in the state is rising or is high. So they reach out to you. How do we start this? What's the first steps? And from where you're at, how do we tackle something like this? Because it's huge.
Yeah, drowning is not new to the state. It's not new to, the country, and it's not getting better. So we're really trying to find innovative ways to just kind of break the trajectory of drowning. So one of the things that we're looking at really is not just, again, talking to people who have small children who have pools. We want to talk to anybody who has a pool, a hot tub, spa, jacuzzi, whether they have kids, grandkids, or not. We want to also talk to people who are working directly with homeowners and, rental properties.
Pool professionals.
Professional, local pool people, right? So you want to work with like realtors, you want to work with, property managers, like people who are talking directly to a customer or client who are, looking at the home or thinking about renting a property, or have a pool, a community pool or an apartment pool very close by where their children might get out or someone else might be able to get into it, while they're sleeping or while they're working. So, it's kind of like these people that talk with homeowners or renters in the state of Florida. They're really the messengers. They're the ones who could be the first person who puts that little nugget of information in someone's mind about, hey, this might happen. What can I do to prevent it? And then also some of the things with drowning, like the drowning, like prevention technologies, the new ones that are coming out, or even some of the older ones, they can be quite confusing, like how to install, and like people just aren't really aware of a lot that's out there. And so if you have someone who can kind of directly tell them about it and show them how to use some of these features, or devices, then that's great too, because we know that it's not necessarily like one thing that might prevent drowning. It'll be like lots of layers of protection there that you can kind of use at your disposal.
The pool professional, we're the folks who sell and install the safety fencing. So that's, and you're absolutely right. The indoor sliding glass door alarm, I may never know if there's one there or not because I'm rarely inside somebody's home.
Mm-hmm.
A pool alarm, I can suggest that. That's fine, but they can get that anywhere. But as far as the safety fencing goes, that actually requires installation. It does require a certain skill set and a certain knowledge to put it in. So I think the pool professional would be key. Plus, we are there every week, so we can be a real pain in the butt if we have to. Look, you have little kids, you need the fence, right?
Yeah.
So, and tackle it from that end. But yeah,
I've
that's
sold
fantastic.
tons of fences and I don't have any affiliation with any companies. Like I have people asking me for recommendations because, as a service professional, we're in their yards. So I do have people that move in and ask me these questions. So
I think too, it's like encouraging people, number one, to use a licensed professional. Also, I spoke to someone the other day who's like, a lot of people, they just want to pass inspection. And you have to kind of
They
say it's not just
do.
about
That's true. It is true. I
you don't want to just like you have to like communicate like it's not just about the inspection. And also people maybe aren't aware of the cost, so being fully honest about the cost of like not only installing but maintaining some like pool safety devices and features. Because like again, like if someone's getting a pool builder has given them a quote for a pool and then tries to tack on the cost of putting in a fence or gate, later, then they're going to balk at it. They're like, oh, I didn't know about that. I don't want to do that. Like, what can I do? I'll just rent a gate just to pass inspection. You don't want those types of scenarios. You want people to really understand the value of having them there, and also the cost of if something happens because something's not there.
It's really, and just from years of doing this, and I can tell you for a fact, and not in Florida, but when I did retail up in New Jersey, one of the things that would be returned at a very, very high level are those door alarms, because the inspector would come through, make sure that the door alarm was there, so that way they could sell the home. Then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, here comes the door alarm again, back in, people wanting to return it, because realistically, what they wanted to do is just borrow it to pass the inspection, then get rid of it. And you know what? They're really taking a risk in playing games with the life of their children when this happens. And it's kind of hard too, because when you sell safety and we're selling layers of protection, or even when we're talking about it, I mean, it's almost like selling insurance, because that's what it is. It's insurance, right? To prevent something though, but it can very easily lend into, it's scary, and I don't want to scare people, but yet at the same time, you're putting a price on your child's life when we're looking at these things. So, I mean, there's a whole lot going into this, but
I just wanted to make a point too, because Rudy and I are in this group for homeowners and stuff. So I've seen a lot of posts and arguments. One of the things that kind of worried me was people that don't have children that don't bother fencing their pools, because the neighbors should be responsible for their own children, even though, kids could run out the door, lots and lots of different things could happen, but fencing is still important, and alarms, or well, maybe not an inside alarm, but safety devices, safety features, that's all still important, even if somebody buying a house doesn't have kids. And that's another thing too. You guys were getting the alarms returned. I've seen entire fencing returned just so they could pass inspections. So
Every
Crazy.
single person that we've talked to, I ask them, like, when you go to a home, like whether it's a realtor or whoever, like, where do you see if there's a gate? Like, do you notice it? They're like, yeah, like I think most of them say about 90% of the time, the gate is not there. It's in the garage or in the shed or, somewhere
I'd
else.
agree with that.
And
Yeah.
they're like, they mention it to the person, and they usually like, say, where is it? Ask about it. Where is it? Can we see it? Note it, document, they do document these things. When they see it, they take a picture of it. Like if it's an inspector, they do have it, they're not using it, so that's a problem, and I'm going to say a plug too. If you don't have a kid, but you have a pet, okay. The gates help with pets.
They
Okay.
do.
Yeah.
Also, think about this. If you have a child in your neighborhood, an adult child or an adult who has autism or dementia, okay, so an elderly person or a person who has an intellectual developmental disability, they're also at an increased risk of drowning, and they could potentially access your pool if it's not enclosed with a fence or gate. So
That's
keep that in
true.
mind too. So
Yeah.
a lot
Scary.
of people don't even think about that. And we need to raise awareness. It's not just about your child, your grandchild, or you not having child, but also most drownings happen during non-swim time. Okay, so only 3% of the drownings in the state of Florida, 3% happen during actual swim time. So the difference between swim time and non-swim time is like, hey kids, we're going to go to the beach. Let's all go to the pool. Let's all go swimming. Where an adult is watching them, hopefully. They've got their water wings on or whatever, their flotation devices, and they're having a good time. Non-swim time means they got out of the house, they walked into a retention pond. That could look like a kid, sneaking out of the house in the middle of the night while their parents are sleeping and getting into the community pool. That's what non-swim time is. We know that most drownings are happening during non-swim time. So that's a problem. And so how can you try to address non-swim time drownings? We have to have these barriers, really, whether it's like alarms on the doors, fence, gates, cameras. There's a lot of motion sensing cameras that are really good out there now. More than just your Ring cameras that are out there, water sensing devices. So like things that you can put on in your pool that will sense like motion.
So
Yeah, a lot of different
you really
things.
need to look at this as an obligation to the public, not just to your home.
Right. Yeah.
Rudy and Andrea will be back with April Ingram of the College of Public Health and more on the state of Florida's initiative to educate the public on identifying the hidden dangers at vacation rental swimming pools, after these messages.
Aquastar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable, and these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with a pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleanings faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Pool Magazine is the hottest new publication for the pool and spa industry, featuring up-to-the-minute news on what's happening in the pool world in a fresh new stylized format with our mobile-friendly app. Pool Magazine is the app for keeping your fingers on the pulse of the pool industry. You'll find featured news, editorials, podcasts, videos, and more on the Pool Magazine app. Download on Google Play and the App Store.
Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
So what steps have you tried so far? What things have you done to gauge what works for people and how to get a message out?
What works for people? Well, we're still kind of working on the messaging, and so there are a couple things that don't work. Number one, shaming people into saying, irresponsible parent does this. That's not going to work. People need to find the value in it themselves and be motivated by something. So, obviously it's very easy to motivate a person who has a pool as a 3-year-old. It's a no-brainer. They're going to do it, no matter the cost. A little bit harder to motivate someone who maybe, doesn't have any grandchildren or nephew or niece, or, but hey, if you're going to have a party, hire a lifeguard, or, think about putting the gate up, just in case you have people over with a small child, that type of thing. Maybe the motivation for them is the cost. You'll lose your home. If someone drowns in your pool, you're going to lose your whole home. Is it really worth it? Spend the extra $500 to put this in or do that. So, but also too, we're finding that there's not any regulation, not a lot of regulation around, these things. I'm sure you guys know all about this.
There's
right?
nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing. I have a neighbor who has an above ground pool, no fence. And I keep looking at it because both neighbors on either side of them have children, small children who are like 3 and under. And I'm just like, how is that possible? I'm like, how is that possible? And it's like, oh, there's not a lot of regulation. There's nothing even like with the home insurance companies that I'm still learning about this, but like the home insurance, like not all of them are asking like, does your pool have this? I would think that'd be a no-brainer, right? If I was like insuring someone's home and it had a pool, I would like ask them, like, do you have this? Yes, like this. Like, also, if they're not, why aren't they offering people discounts who are doing all these things, going like above and beyond, right? Because like money is a huge motivator, right? So you offer people discounts for adding these additional features, then shoot, who cares if they don't have a kid? They're going to do it because it's going to save them some money, right? So there are a lot of different things that we can look at to potentially tackle this, whether it's policy, whether it's just even like the Florida Realtor Association adding a disclosure, just like you would with like lead or mold, just saying like, I've seen this, I've read this, this is an issue, safety issue. We don't have anything like that basically. And it's crazy to me, but that means just there's room for change, there's room for growth. And that's why we're here.
So you said there was a phase 2. So what are the next steps?
Yeah, so we will have some concepts out. They're going to be reviewed by the state, and we need to make sure it's in line with kinds of the state's messaging as well, and some of the words, and then also too it's correct, the information is correct. So it has to go through a couple of channels just to make sure it's the right channel. And then we'll look at, once we choose a concept, we'll have our creative team, which is Sago. It's an advertising agency, develop the creative, and then it'll be launched initially through Florida Public Media. So.
Yeah. Okay, nice. So
that's cool.
Andrea, do you have you're in a vacation area. Do you take care of vacation rentals? Or have you? You're doing all commercial now, but
yeah, I have before. And I guess some of the commercials could count as vacation rentals because there's just people that visit and some of the HOA properties that I do have people that aren't permanent. So yeah, not too many like Airbnbs that I do though.
But in the vacation rentals that you have seen that you've taken care of, because we talk about layers of protection, right? We have the door alarm, then we have the fencing and possibly a safety cover when it's not in use. We have pool alarm for in the water, video, right? These are things that April has just mentioned.
Yeah.
How many of these have you seen that actually are, I'm going to throw out an acronym, VGBA compliant, which is the anti-entrapment law that public pools have to follow?
Right.
Have
How
you
many
seen the residential pools?
How many residential pools have I seen in compliance with the VGB Act? Is that what you're asking me?
Correct.
Very, very few. And actually, when April was talking about, getting into having the disclosures of, there's this safety issue or there's that one, all I kept thinking about was all the broken drain covers that I've ever seen in pools. And that's a safety anti-entrapment device as well. So yeah, not too many residential pools do I ever see in compliance or safety like equipment in general. Like I don't see those hooks. Yeah.
So I just want to ask you guys about this. This is more of a question for me because I don't feel like anyone ever really talks about this. And I've been talking to like all these pool people about these drain covers and suction. And someone finally said to me the other day, hair entanglement. And I'm like, is that really what it is causing? Like the biggest?
It's huge.
Okay, I think someone needs to say, like, you need this because if you have long hair, it could get caught in here and then you're being held down.
I
feel like that needs to be explicitly explained to like non-pool people.
It does. And here maybe this will help. I've had this conversation with a homeowner before. They had no drain cover whatsoever. The drain was open. And there was a toy. It was a ball. There was a ball that was stuck in the opening for the drain, and I had to go and close the valve at the equipment. And then when I went to explain to him, like, people can, your hair especially, and he was like, "Oh, I have boys. We don't have long hair." And I'm like, so, but your niece could come over, like, you could still get jewelry trapped in there. You can get clothes trapped in there. There's 5 different forms of entanglement. So entrapment. Yeah.
Yeah, she's correct. There's hair entrapment, which is that's the number one offender. But then there's also body, which is a person's torso getting stuck to a suction outlet. Limb entrapment, which is an arm or a leg. Then there's mechanical entrapment, which is something that's on you that's not you, like a hair tie, a necklace, your bathing suit itself. How many was that? 4 or 5?
That was 4. There's another one.
And
it's gonna.
I know,
me,
right?
Of course.
And I teach this. This is horrible.
Yeah, you should post another book.
Body, limb, evisceration, the worst kind.
Yeah.
Disembowelment.
Okay, so it's like literal
Literal.
little limbs. Like
no, disembowelment. Somebody's sitting on the drain and it removing part of their intestines through their bottom.
Oh, okay.
And that happens. And it's super scary. And that can happen. And see what happened way back in the day, not way back in the day, but there was a little girl. The VGBA stands for Virginia Graham Baker Act. Virginia Graham Baker was a little girl who went to a pool party. And while she was at this pool party, she got into a spa, a hot tub.
It was a hotel resort, right?
I believe it was a public pool, and she sat on the drain and she got stuck. She was not disemboweled, which is a common belief, but she did get stuck underwater and nobody could get her out and she drowned.
I did research. I looked it up. Abigail Taylor was the one who was disemboweled.
Okay.
That's the one from Abby's Hope.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Her name was Abigail Taylor. Yeah. She was.
But people
both of them together were what were not what caused, but they were the inspirations for the VGB Act, the two of them.
So one of the big things is the main drain grate. We used to be permitted to have a flat grate, but that was people were more inclined to stick to that under suction. So in creating this, we went with a concave grate that also requires a backup. So at your public pools in Florida, most of them will have a surge pit, like a gravity drain. So there's no direct suction on the grate, but then it has a concave grate. And that's how those things are set up. In a
Right now, I only
residential
have
pool-
one. Sorry, I only have one that is direct suction, and there's the it has the safety vacuum release system on there.
which is something that will then break suction or stop the pump from running
Yeah, because
if it detects extra.
Yeah.
Right. So those things do not exist on residential pools. Even the through the wall vacuum ports on a public pool, they're required to have a spring loaded locking device that almost requires, I mean, if you really got a good grip, you can get it open without a screwdriver, but it almost always requires a tool to open it up.
Not
And-
if you get the generic ones. There's no little lip on
Well,
there.
we don't want a generic one.
You literally need the screwdriver to open it.
We
but
need the
whenever
real
I
deal.
see people, it's not generic. It's just the different whatever. Anyway, I always I tell people, residential customers, that they're required, even though it's not in residential. I tell them,
But
that,
it should
and I get
be.
them anyway. Yeah.
It should be, because somebody can get stuck to the side of the pool with their head underwater if it's left open.
Mhm.
And that's what makes it super scary. And this all falls under the Virginia Graham Baker Act. And on top of that, it was Steve Barnes with Aquastar Pool Products. He had told us that a common trend nowadays, it's a fad or whatever one of those things are, like a TikTok dance, right? Young girls in spas doing headstands over the main drain grates because it makes their hair feel funny.
I don't think it was a trend. I think it was just a story that he had told us
TikTok
about.
No, he
somebody.
said it's a thing that girls are doing. And then didn't you say you've done it?
No, I would never do that.
Okay,
No.
good.
I thought you were going to say the mermaid tails. That's what it's totally
No,
different.
no, it's not on TikTok. But he said it was a thing. So
I think
we'll
it
go
was
with
just
that.
something that that little group of girls, they were playing that certain game. I don't think it was it wasn't a challenge that I can remember him saying.
I mean, it was more than two.
It was more than two. It was like a group of them. I remember being shocked
It's
at the
not giving
story.
any kids any idea.
It was not good either
Right.
way.
Well,
Yeah.
No kids listen to us anyway.
Okay, good.
I can guarantee you that. So, but anyway, I mean, that's also what makes it super scary, because in these scenarios, the grates that we're using in public pools are designed to thwart hair entanglement. The grates that you're using in residential pools are not always. And nobody checks those, but they do check the ones at public pools. So I think there should be an inspection. I mean, if the health department can't get out there as frequently as they do the public pools to check on these vacation rentals, they should at least be required to have a safety inspection before Airbnb or Swimply will let them list them. I think.
I
But
agree.
even then, it needs to be something that's routine, right? I mean, because again, you have the issue with people will do something just to pass an inspection, and then they'll
Right.
immediately let it go or get rid of it because no one's watching them, and I think what I really want to communicate too with all the people who are out there who have pools or hot tubs and are renting them out or their homes out is that we're not trying to dissuade you from having a pool or renting it out. We're trying to enable you to put some additional features or add things to make it more safe, not just for your guests, but also to protect yourself. So I just want to make sure that they understand, we're trying to help them, not hurt them.
No, I think your message is coming across loud and clear.
Yeah.
What we're doing is, obviously, we're trying to prevent drowning, because that's horrible and nobody wants to have to live with that. Nobody wants to have to deal with that it happened in their yard or it could somehow be their fault. But on top of that, what you're doing is, in a worst case scenario, you're trying to help them keep their house.
Yeah. And there's just so many things that people don't know that they could do. There's so many new things that are coming out there. I always when I was started this project and I heard about, like these devices that you could clip on your child if they detect, water detection, or like if I had been under the water. I'm like, why didn't they have that when I had my child? Like, I wish they had that then. And
Yeah.
there's just so many things like if I had known about, I would have done. Because it's just, accidents do happen. People are imperfect. And it's devastating when something like this happens to anyone. So yeah, it's just giving people the tools to protect themselves and then others, essentially.
Now, I do want to say, and Andrea became aware of this today, that I am one of the stakeholders for this initiative,
Mhm.
in promoting this initiative,
Nice.
in lending to the information. And we are open to more stakeholders. So, April, how do people go about getting a hold of you so they can help with me, help you?
Yeah. People can always email me. My email is Ingram, which is INGRAM at USF.edu. And I can, ask them some questions, tell them about the stakeholder group. And they can join. We meet about once a month virtually, online. So, and we have a good discussion. We work through some activities, trying to figure out like the best return on investment. So we look at the different strategies. We look to identify new people who would be potentially working with people who have pools or hot tubs or have rental properties. And just we want to make sure, and I think we're doing a good job with this. It could always get better, that we're reaching, like I said, not the drowning experts. We don't need a bunch of drowning experts just sitting on a board telling people how horrible drowning is and like telling horrible drowning stories, because we're all there because we're already motivated, right, to be there. We want to prevent drowning. But we really want to understand, like, for instance, in our tourism industry, like how can like our hotels and our resorts and our vacation rentals, and how can they potentially be messengers, and like what would they want to tell visitors to Florida without scaring them off. So it's really important that we hear from like a diverse range of people. Yeah, and so I would love anyone who's interested being involved in this, to, as long as you have an open mind and you're willing to hear from others. I think too, like it's a really important that everyone has a voice in the stakeholder group. We'd love to have them. Yeah.
I think swimming pools should just be for fun, and I never want to hear about anything bad that happens. And I certainly don't want to hear that there's ever a drowning in any pool that I take care of, or I don't like hearing about it at all, period.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm involved. And this is specific to the state of Florida. But no matter where you are, we don't really want to hear. I mean, we take care of pools so people can have fun in them. And that's the enjoyment we get out of it, right? When you see somebody having fun in this clear pool that you just cleaned, hoping they're not making it a mess. But
I wish they could wait a day, but that's okay.
but that's the enjoyment of it. And I'll tell you, I do get emails, Rudy, somebody drowned in the pool overnight. How do I treat the water?
Oh gosh.
And it's not their pool. It's somebody, I mean, they were called, they have to come out. Obviously, the police have already come out. The body's been removed. What do we do to the water? And it's just, oh my, I can't explain. I don't have the right words for it. It's a very weird feeling when you're going through talking about having to treat water after somebody's died in it, and there is a discharge of fluids, all of them. There's a lot that goes into it, but overall, still the horrifying factor that somebody just died in a pool, and that's not what the purpose of swimming pools is. So that's why I'm involved. So if you're a pool professional and you want to be involved because you don't want to ever hear about drownings in pools, the way that you make your livelihood, I encourage you to contact April, join me, join April, and we have a good group. Come on in. It's all about idea sharing. And what she said is exactly correct. I've been in these meetings. We don't sit there and discuss drowning statistics. We talk about how to get the message across to make people aware, so people know what to look for, to make these pools safer to start with. And I think the folks that are listening to us right now have a lot to contribute.
Mm. Yeah, and don't contact me to tell me your drowning story because I literally can't handle it.
It's awful, right?
I every time I have someone, oh, this happened, I heard this happened one time and this neighbor and this, I can't handle it. As a human being, I cannot handle any more drowning stories.
Disheartening, heart-wrenching, sombering, any of those words. That's what I was looking for. But even just the thought of it in my head and how often do I not have words, Andrea?
Well, how many, I don't know. Let's see. How many times do I interrupt you? We'll take it away.
So.
Yeah. And the thing I do want to say these pool inspectors, these building code inspectors, they're doing an excellent job out there. If you have one who's coming to visit you and they're telling you something, listen to them. You know, I'm just so impressed with what they're doing. And I feel like they're already even though if not in our group, they're already our water safe ambassadors, right? So these pool people, they know what they're talking about. Listen to them, let them help you. They're very knowledgeable and they know what they're doing. So yeah, I really appreciate you, your podcast, and
thank you.
All of the people in your industry. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you are a pool professional, especially a pool professional that does pool inspections, April has just given you the additional title of safety ambassador. How cool is that? So you should contact her and see how we can do more.
Sweet. I have the inspector, the badge. I have that badge.
There you go. So there is actually a course for certified pool inspectors, and folks have gone through it. And there's a lot of folks out there that do these that listen. And I would like to invite everybody to help us out.
Yeah, and you don't have to be an inspector. If you're a property manager at an apartment complex, if you lease out rental properties for a company in Arizona, for example, that owns a bunch of homes in Florida with pools, give us a shout. You can be a water ambassador just by putting a little bit, water safe ambassador, just by putting a little bit of information out there to your clients and your homeowners or co-renters. So yeah, keep that in mind.
I like it. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And I'm really enjoy being part of this initiative. I can say that. And April definitely is a good person to be guiding it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me, you guys, or y'all, I should say, because I'm from the South and still in me. Yeah.
Well, it depends because, I'm from New York. Andrea's from Chicago. So we're totally cool with the whole you guys reference.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Actually, I say y'all sometimes just in text because it's easier. But
actually, it's yous guys where I'm from.
Yous guys.
But all right, yous guys. Well, thanks for tuning in and listening to us.
Oh, sorry, Rudy.
Andrea, interrupt us. Go ahead, take it from there.
Again. And you know what? I apologize to you. You should I'll get you a cookie for that. Just wanted to say thank you for being on the show, and to everybody listening, thanks for being faithful listeners. We love you guys, and that's it. That's all I have. So
yeah. So if you like the show, definitely. You know what? Even if you don't normally share an episode, share this one.
Yeah, share this one for sure.
Because we talk about chemistry, we talk about equipment, we talk about a lot of different things. This is super, super important. Share this one. Thank you for listening. Until next time, be good, be safe.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.